when it comes to Robert Blake, yeah, who could been the individual who have killed Bonnie? I'm just wondering. It's a question. Like, subscribe, ID, and the Discovery Channel. Yes, ID and the Discovery Channel. The links are provided below. Get that Discovery Go app as well as that ID Go app. You might want to get those two and combine them together and make them one. Various, right? We got apps for everything, is what I'm trying to say. So, yes, in relation to Bonnie being dead and Robert Blake being freely able to walk the streets, right? I'm in question of that. What was the purpose of her dying? What was the reason? What could be up underneath that sort of thing? And which even Robert Blake himself is not saying. These are all questions. This is not accusations. No, this is a question. It's a learning experience is what I'm saying. To decipher, to do a murder analysis, not completely full, but just to ask questions is to do just that. Set a deck to it as well. So, yeah. I would just love to know, right? So, Bonnie, in fact, had a shady past, right? Individuals that knew her knew that sort of thing. If you want to know more about Bonnie, is to in fact Google her, as in look it up on the research end from my end to yours. So during the era of the TV show The Little Rascals, pertaining to Robert Blake, in which Robert Blake himself appeared on The Little Rascals, right? I'm in question of his father and his father's jealousy. I'm all over the place. Yes, I should be, right? Because to be creative is to do that as in not talking in one way while you're standing still, sitting still, right? Because even this, yes, the pieces add in what even, yes, her being dead, right? So I'm wondering, could Robert Blake's father have had jealous tendencies because Robert had become an actor when he was a child appearing on The Little Rascals, despite his father wasn't an actor? These sort of things must in fact be questioned, because to know that even Robert Blake is an angry man at times is to say even rage can be found there, despite him being Hollywood. That's why I'm all over the place. It's been stated Robert Blake's father physically abused Blake because of that. The question I just asked about the father's jealousy. Blake's father, yes, Robert Blake, his father abusing him because the father couldn't be a Hollywood actor, and yet his son was, as a child star. Some parents, yes, sometimes try to live through their children too. And yet to not have the opportunity is to take the anger out on your child, right? And so that would in fact make me ask, what kind of man would a Robert Blake grow up to be? Getting beatings and abused because you're a child star or something. Would that sort of thing have said progressed into later on you murdering Bonnie? That's odd. Uncontrollable fits of rage, yeah, which points back to childhood in Hollywood. I gotta ask that because even in Hollywood, that sort of thing, which it ain't told, and yet it's questioned about if it's pedophilia there, to say, have a father say beating on you or something, and then maybe have been molested in the realm of Hollywood, is to ask those sort of questions. Would you be a man angry enough to one day just kill Bonnie off? I said that in Hollywood, Blake is known by everybody to be a real hot-headed man, and not like a semi-truck. No, he's known and prone to be very hot-headed, even in interviews. Piers Morgan, when he went off and all that, yeah, that's what he's known for. It's part of his character as well, but still the man represents the man even in anger tendencies, right? Yes. Bonnie has a child, yes, a daughter named Holly, right? I won't say her last name. Don't ask. Right? So Bonnie has a daughter, right? that traveled from her home in southeastern part of the U.S. to Forest Lawn Cemetery in Los Angeles on May 12th, strewing bouquets of flowers on her mother's forgotten grave. It's been said, yes, there's miscommunication issues between Blake and Bonnie's daughter, Holly. Because, see, yeah, this, even his case is odd. Because, see, look, to say that the mystery fits between even their end, the daughter, feeling that he forgot about the grave of her mother, and yet he's angry all the time, right? And nobody truly knows everything around Bonnie, the whereabouts as in before, the individuals who was doing what where before she died, right? The mystery, it's been thought out. Some background. Their marriage was in fact turbulent, right? Bonnie and Robert Blake, I'm saying. So yes, she was shot twice in the head and in the shoulder while sitting outside a restaurant. It's an Italian restaurant, the couple's favorite Italian restaurant to be specific, right? In Studio City, California on May 4, 2001. No, because what I said on Facebook is what I said on Facebook, and yet I don't know if I need to repeat it right here on YouTube, right? My notes are in fact backwards and reverse, and they should be, right? Let that stay still with a resting plot, right? But yeah, Blake was charged with brutal execution. What? That don't even sound right. Brutal execution. To die in the form of, yes, execution style. He beat the murder rap at first and was later held responsible for Bonnie's death in a civil court, and then, yes, acquitted in 2005. What's that? Because, see, I said that how Hollywood is all about getting off in the first place because of the status. Despite who did what and why, right? It's been stated, yes, whether truthful or untruthful, I'll let you, the viewer, decide on that. It's been stated that Blake considered hiring 3 hitmen to rid Bonnie of her and her street ways. You, the viewer, can decipher if that's a truth or a fact. Or untruth. Something like that. Yeah. So Bonnie was known to have an infatuation for conning people. She was a schemer is what I'm trying to say, Bonnie, right? She would sell raunchy photos of herself, yes, and sleazy swinger magazines and all that, right? And she also has been married, yes, for 9 times. Did you get that? Bonnie was in fact married 9 times. Which could be the question of Blake on his end, more than likely could have felt that even Bonnie didn't have his best interest, because for a woman to be married 9 times is to say, what do you have? She's loose, right? Yeah, do what you do, right? I ain't judging whatever, and yet I can, right? But that's it for even a Robert Blake, and on his end to ask, does that woman have the best interest for you? And not only that, for Robert Blake to ask himself, why was he with her to begin with if she knew that she was into conning and scheming other men? Why would you want to sit and be amongst that if that woman has got that nature? Because that's to say that she's going to in fact scheme you over time, Robert Blake. He more than likely was probably with her for sex purposes or something and nothing more or something. I'm saying because there was nothing that even Bonnie could give a Robert Blake. Remember, he had everything. Robert Blake and still do today have everything, despite her being dead. So it was nothing that Bonnie could give Robert Blake. So I'm thinking on his end, from my end to his, is to tell even Robert Blake himself that must have been a guilty pleasure in the realm of the sex and having her and wanting her around. Because she couldn't provide anything. She was loose to begin with. That's not to say nothing negative, right? But out of all things, she loved the kind men. And for Robert Blake to have a hot, heated anger issue and rage and fits of rage at times is to say, well, that sort of thing was going to end up the way that it did or something. That's not to call out and say he guilty or nothing, but sheesh, to be with a woman that's conning is to say, well, who's going to have trust, love, and that? I'm thinking a man with the right mind wouldn't want to play games with even her like that, because that sort of thing, a woman like that will get you set up in a trap with all type of stuff with that. It gets people in trouble is what I'm trying to say. A man of Robert Blake's status getting involved with a woman such as a Bonnie doing all that with her conning people. That could have even place him behind bars despite his status. Because she had a corrupt mindset. That's what I'm trying to say, right? And even Robert Blake himself knew that. But would a man of his caliber, would he have not gotten rid of her? Because to be laid up next to somebody is to say, well, what are they going to do while I'm asleep or anything? She could have wanted everything that man had. I'm saying the conning, corruption mindset is too how people end up dead. A celebrity ends up dead as their wife obtains everything. Which could be why too some celebrities sometimes off people, as in get rid of people that they've married when they find out that sort of thing later. And that's once again not to say that he did that. No, I'm just giving an example as in using his face for that sort of thing. To know that Robert Blake was with a cunning woman is to say she could have set him up, killed him off, being in a relationship with him, marrying and everything else, right? Put him to death and take everything he got. Because even if he died, even if she would have been married to him and say she killed him, is to say, well, he would have been dead. But not only that, money still will be coming in. Because is Robert Blake, is he or is he not, has been casted, yes, in movie roles. And even those films today are still making money pertaining to intellectual property and licensing and all the rest. That's to say she would have been living lavishly even after his death if she would have plotted that, right? Those type of people you want to get rid of, and as in not have them in your life. You might not want to put them to death, and yet people in fact do in Hollywood, right? I didn't say he did. Yeah, that's been the question, yeah, for years, of if she wanted to scam him. So I think that's all to be said for now, right? To be got is to be, what's the word? To be taken advantage of is to be got on the end of the lover. To be gotten, something like that, right? What goes around comes back around. So while you think you're there to cast corruption on the end of taking from a Robert Blake, is to say, well, maybe not so. Sort of thing. You don't want to play games with Hollywood people because the mindset is not right to begin with. And to be able to get away and walk away is to just say with that. Isn't when you don't do, because even some women out here feel like, well, let me go get with myself a bad boy Hollywood figure so I can have all this money. Well, try it if you want to, because he might in fact kill you off as well, knowing that's the intention that you got from his end, from your end to his. People can know and see, because to have worked in Hollywood for years on end, I'm saying individuals such as a Robert Blake, is to see sometimes the poor men's intention as it's coming of people wanting to take advantage of you and getting over on you as in a woman wanting to marry you for that sort of thing. And you're seeing it sometimes even right after you marry her, and even sometimes before. You don't want that in your life. You want to get rid of that. Bye. So homicide hunter Lieutenant Joe Kenda, Evo lives here. Fatal Vows, you had Paula. Shouts out to Paula. Yeah. Deadly Women, Each one of these, in fact, have a caliber description, as in where you like to go, as in where you should to check out these, right? And all the rest. Finale as well, as it's telling. I'm saying I'm about to end out, right? So to add to favorites is a click right here. Red Rum. Remember The Shining? Yeah, something like that. Blood Relatives. The Perfect Murder. Unlocked episodes. To Catch a Killer. To find out about that with no phase out is to, yes, correctly press the play button. Twin Sisters, Blood Runs Code, yes, What Lies Beneath. You can add these to your add to watch later. It would in fact wait for you. Twisted. I read the description on that in my last video. Murder by Numbers. The Last Defense. Season 1, Episode 1, expiring in 21 days. The Devil Speaks. Deadline Crime with Tamron Hall. On Last Night. What is happening right now, you ask? Live now. The Killer Beside Me. But yes, On Last Night. Twisted Sisters. The Naked Truth. Anytime you see the lock, the key is to say you're going to have to sign in through your provider in order to get into that to watch. ID Go series. Yes, Pamela Smart, The Missing Pieces. Most evil ranked. Evil lives here. Women in prison, real talk. Reasonable Doubt. There's a show for everything. Hell, there's even a cloud for everything, if you get my drift. Nobody caught that. Schedule preview. 3 p.m. When I said it, that means it's dreary and it's cloudy, pertaining to mass murder, mayhem, and death. Sadness, yes, with even the destruction with that. Crime feed. To click on this is to know it's going to, in fact, yes, forward you over to the crime feed, crimefeed.com, where all the lucky news, in fact, sits and awaits you. And yet to put it right here is to say, yes, you're going to see it just enough to want to know. Newsletter. You will sign in right there, yes, to be directed to even a newsletter, as in what you would receive once you sign up for that sort of thing, being in the know, first to know, and all the rest, right? Not completely, but something like that. I just throw that in there because it spice it up, makes it more interesting. There go Lieutenant Joe Kenda. 5 new episodes added. You click watch now, and yes. So that's all to be stated for right now today. When it comes to Robert Blake, rest in peace to Bonnie. That's so odd. That is so odd for even Bonnie's daughter to call that out, as in how Robert Blake doesn't even go back and visit. Where yes, not Robert Blake's daughter. Did I say that? Where even Bonnie's daughter, yes, mentioned about how Robert Blaker, yeah, all the rest, the forgotten grave, or where even he forgets to go visit Bonnie. In her forgotten grave, that's a science in itself. It says, don't ask, don't tell. I'm guessing.